deal with the topic of numerology, but what we're really talking about is spirit or energy and power and the intelligence behind what we refer to as numbers, inclusively, or the 26 letters in this science of calculation. What we understand about the universe in relationship to numerology is that the universe is based upon sound, then vibration. What produces sound is motion. What produces light, fire, and energy is sound. The musicological scale of this universe is the product of what we refer to as creator and God. Pythagoras, a Greek teacher of the earlier period of Greek beginning, not that they didn't have a Renaissance of their beginning, was their considered master or father of the science that the Greeks were later educated with. What many authors do not do, even unto this day, is to give credibility to the African masters as Pythagoras's or Pythagoras as his teacher. And of course we understand why, because all intellectual credibility was confiscated by the European. What the Black Mason states about that European is that he wrote himself into history with a pen. So it was a conspiracy, there's no doubt about that. Not just on the visible level where things of monumental stature were already in existence before he found an order to live by, but even in terms of the facilities to educate, the letters to write with. As Ivan Van Sertima pointed out, there are only 5 script on this planet that all languages are devised from. And what can be found in tracing back these scripts is that they have their origin in Africa, including Arabic, probably the language with the most fanatical prestige, I would put it, as far as the Arabian goes. Dr. Sheikh Anna Jacques, one of the contemporary masters of African history, language, biology, chemistry, and several other subjects, pointed out at a conference in Cairo, Egypt, at the University of Cairo, that a black man named Ali Aswan had created the Arabic letters. And his name was Ali Aswan before the characters were created. So they went off. It was about 50% Arabian, 50% Arabic, African at that particular conference. And the Arabs started screaming and hollering and throwing stuff. They were insulted. And then the president of Cairo University, a European Arabian, in other words, a mixed Arab, stood up and said, even though he was black, he's still white. But that was pretty much a perfect example of the symptom of the kind of psychological illness that racism has spread on this planet. One master said, the greatest evil on planet Earth is racism. And he could well be correct. What we need to understand is the power invested in us as human beings, then as mental beings, and then as divine beings. That's our nature. It's important to be able to look at the physical side of creation in order to appreciate the invisible side, that which we cannot see. To note a correlation with our spiritual self working through our physical self. That's how you gain first prestige for yourself and then for those in your world. If you recognize the divinity in yourself, you must then recognize the divinity in others. Thereby quell, erase, and squash the psychological problems that beset those who suffer from inferiority and superiority as complexes, because both of those are illusions. Both of them are illusions. In this subject, in this science of numerology, there is found the classic concept of sensar, which is an African concept. The ability to both clothe, hide, and construct knowledge by using letters and numbers. I wish I had a copy of Ivan Van Sertima's earlier book, The African Presence in Early America. It's not in his present published copy of that book for this period, for whatever strange reasons, I don't know. Of the 9 letters in the form of the Uraeus, that's known as the snake, but that won't scare anybody. And also in physical form. Now, he was supposed to have gotten this photograph from a European archaeologist named Van Hauser. And it showed several poses, such as the 4 of the Egyptians standing like this. And then the others were in the various symmetrical forms of the numbers in the body of Uraeus or snake. The very same letters that we are using now, which of course the scholars gave again credibility to the Arabian. Everyone gained credibility for laying the foundation of knowledge except the African. That's why this particular era is so important. As this knowledge is uncovered as a credibility to the African family, we are able then to erase and see through the illusion of intellectual inferiority complex. You see? And we have one. They made sure we got this complex. This science will assist in erasing that complex and bringing the individual to a knowledge of self, the universe, and the Creator as well. And how to navigate through your day, Monday to Sunday, towards your short-range and long-range goals, with understanding and appreciation of who you are, what you are, and where you are. The English word numerology comes from the Latin word numeros logica. Numeros in Castille's dictionary states melody, harmony, metric as the definition of numeros. Logica or logos means reason. The reasoning of sound, of harmony, of melody is the real meaning of number. The credibility of the statement by Pythagoras, God is a number, must be assessed as a part of the teachings of the ancient Osirian so-called mystery system. Asa, or Aset, as what the one brother has brought forward. Numerology virtually comes out of the science and knowledge of symbology. These are symbols. They have no power. The power is in the universe. The power is in yourself. The power and the intelligence, the energy, the spirit is the composition of manifest existence and invisible manifest existence. The part we don't get in school. The reality of the invisible power that supports the visible creation. An old word, I haven't been able to find the hieroglyphic for Senzar. The concept for symbology is found in Yosef Ben Yachanan's book, Africa, the Mother of Western Civilization. I didn't bring it with me. I wrote it down and couldn't afford to get the book at the time, so I sneaked it out of the book and wrote it on something. Sem. The drawing of a representation of an image on the ground is a direct translation of the word sem that represents the Greco-Latin word symbology. The drawing of the representation of an image on the ground. We have one example of that in the scriptures where Jesus is asked a question and he kneels down and starts writing, the book says, on the ground. Of course, it doesn't say what he wrote, but that's a perfect example of symbology in its origin. The nearest paper to the intellect is the ground. It makes sense to me. Not the walls of caves. The African lived outside, then moved to some areas in tree houses. He has no history of being a cave dweller, but he has lived, the earlier groups did live in the ground. But the height of the African civilization is shown to be on the surface of the earth. What I'm going to do is jump over to this level of the signs so that those that are here can calculate along with what's coming at 6:59. Then I'll get back to the science itself. Those of us who, in our world, who, by our religious beliefs, who are not given to, quote, gambling, are not being urged to do this. This is a presentation so that those that have an inclination to win, not gamble. If you start out gambling, that's what you'll do. It is gamble. If your intent is to win, then you're talking about something altogether different. You're talking about what the Creator is talking about. You're here on this planet to win the highest prize the Creator has for you. And that is your own soul. That's victory. Theoretically, that's what all the games are about. The highest paid human beings on this planet are athletes, entertainers. Those in the social world, the scientist, the doctor, the school teacher, the healers, they don't make $5, $6, $10 million a year. Nobody pays them that much. It's interesting. The most phenomenal buildings that represent any prestige are built for athletes. not for preachers and teachers. They're built for athletes in this country. The most prestigious black man in one part of Africa, I'm trying to think of Pele's country, Brazil, isn't it? Is worth the national debt. One black man, a soccer player. Not the president, not the preacher, not the priest, not the saints, not the holy men, not the musicians, an athlete. Isn't that interesting? They not only have all the money, they have all the glory. They're still trying to make Michael Jordan a hero? An athlete can't be a hero. He's entertaining people. He's not doing anything to raise consciousness, save lives, heal people, give them direction. But it sells. The brother's worth some hundreds of millions of dollars to somebody other than himself. So he's a hero. The point of fact of all science, philosophy, religion, knowledge, and education on this planet is to win your own soul before somebody rips you off. And our children are losing this game. Our children are losing. And don't even know why they're down here. They come, they stay 20, 15, 16 years, and they're gone. Baraka made a remarkable statement in one of his poems when he was Leroy Jones. He came here, born, ignorant, lied to, and left the same. That's a heavy line, you know. And he was hip to it in the 60s, what it was about. And he elected to go help black folks. But that's why he was so intellectually furious. And the first article he had published, I'm diverting you a little bit, was in one of the top, Playboy magazine. And on the first page, just beneath this picture, he's dressed in all these well-garbed clothes with his Sherlock Holmes hat on and pipe in his mouth. And beneath it says, "This amiable young man has something to tell you." You turn the page, and in big, huge letters, "All white men are fags." Baraka just went on. He didn't stop behind that. Every article he wrote slashed up the image of the European, because that image in the 60s was still dominating the psychology of black people, as it is still dominating pretty much the psychology of the black woman, emulating the European woman. Okay, what we're going to deal with right now is a system that's been around during the, quote, illegal lottery for years. This game was invented by your parents in this country. The Italian boy came along after he discovered black folks was making money with this little 3-digit game and decided he wanted in on it, so they ripped him off. I just showed that on Capone's series about 3 or 4 months ago. The reason I mention that is due to the fact that the development of the right side of the brain, the intuitive faculty of the African, is extraordinarily well developed. But if you're suffering from the illusion that it is not, or that it doesn't work, or that you have no power, that you have no insight, then of course you buy into that which hides your abilities from yourself. I know of no other manner in which a black man, woman, or child, where that goes, can wake up one day with $1, pray to the Lord, sit down and get a number, and get up and go walk over across the street there, put it in, and at 7:01, that woman, man, or child will have $500. If I knew of a better way for you to get money that fast, I'd do that instead of this. Our folks are going to play this game. They were playing it before it became, quote, legal, unquote. And they will be playing it after we're gone, if they keep it out here. For 2 reasons, and I want to mention this because there is a reality to compulsive gambling. In fact, anything you do down here